Welcome to my channel. Today, we tackle one of the most critical and pressing challenges of our time: global warming. From space, our beautiful blue planet seems serene and untouched. However, beneath the surface, a delicate balance is at play, and our climate is rapidly changing. Our atmosphere holds a powerful secret: the greenhouse effect. Discover how this natural process keeps our planet warm enough to support life, but how human activities are altering this balance and leading to global consequences. But before we start, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button for this video if the topic fascinates you. Let's get started. Feedback loops. Before we go any further, let's grasp the concept of feedback loops. Picture this. You're adjusting the volume on your speakers, and as you increase the volume, the microphone picks up that sound and feeds it back into the speakers. This results in a never-ending loop of amplification, right? Well, the Earth's climate system works similarly. In the case of climate change, feedback loops amplify the effects of global warming, either by enhancing or mitigating the initial impact. One example of a feedback loop that worsens climate change is the ice albedo feedback loop. As temperatures rise, ice in the Arctic and Antarctic regions melts, exposing darker ocean surfaces. The dark ocean absorbs more sunlight, leading to more warming and further ice melting. This cycle continues, accelerating the loss of polar ice. As the ice albedo feedback loop intensifies, it contributes to rising sea levels, disrupts ecosystems, and threatens the survival of polar wildlife. Another critical feedback loop is the carbon-climate feedback loop. As global temperatures rise, natural carbon sinks, such as forests and oceans, become less efficient at absorbing CO2. Additionally, permafrost, which contains large amounts of carbon, starts to thaw, releasing trapped greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. The increase in atmospheric CO2 concentrations further warms the planet, causing more thawing of permafrost and weakening natural carbon sinks. This vicious cycle results in even more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Now, it's essential to recognize that feedback loops are not only natural, human activities can exacerbate them too. Take the example of deforestation. As we cut down trees, there are fewer forests to absorb CO2, making the carbon-climate feedback loop even more pronounced. Similarly, the burning of fossil fuels releases more greenhouse gases, which worsens the entire climate system, including the ice albedo and carbon-climate feedback loops. Understanding feedback loops is crucial to address climate change effectively. Breaking these loops and mitigating their impact requires a multifaceted approach. We need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by transitioning to renewable energy, promoting sustainable practices, and protecting natural carbon sinks like forests. Permafrost thawing. Permafrost is a layer of frozen soil, sediment, and organic matter that remains below 0 degrees Celsius, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, for at least 2 consecutive years. It covers nearly 24% of the Northern Hemisphere's land area, including vast regions in the Arctic and subarctic regions. Permafrost acts as a giant freezer, preserving ancient plant and animal remains, as well as vast amounts of trapped carbon in the form of organic matter. As global temperatures rise due to human-induced climate change, permafrost is starting to thaw at an alarming rate. Warmer temperatures penetrate the ground, causing the ice within the permafrost to melt and the soil to become unstable. The release of methane from thawing permafrost is a significant concern. Methane is about 25 times more potent than carbon dioxide in terms of its heat-trapping ability over a 100-year period. Methane can be released from both wetlands and thawing permafrost. As permafrost thaws, trapped methane becomes available to the atmosphere, accelerating the pace of climate change. Permafrost thawing poses a direct threat to communities and infrastructure built on once stable ground. Roads, buildings, and pipelines can sink, buckle, or crack as the underlying permafrost melts away. Permafrost thawing is a silent climate time bomb that demands immediate attention. As we continue to grapple with the consequences of climate change, understanding the impact of permafrost thawing is essential. Rising sea levels. To comprehend rising sea levels, we must first understand the driving forces behind this phenomenon. As global temperatures increase, ice caps and glaciers are melting, releasing vast amounts of water into the oceans. At the same time, the warming of seawater leads to thermal expansion, causing the oceans to take up more space. The combination of melting ice and thermal expansion results in the continuous rise of sea levels, putting coastal communities and ecosystems at risk. Rising sea levels pose significant threats to coastal communities around the world. As the sea encroaches on land, many areas are experiencing more frequent and severe coastal flooding, especially during high tides and storm surges. Low-lying coastal regions and small island nations are particularly vulnerable, with many facing the risk of displacement and loss of habitable land. Rising sea levels contribute to coastal erosion, a process where the force of the ocean wears away the shoreline. This can lead to the loss of beaches, cliffs, and coastal habitats, such as mangrove forests and salt marshes, which act as natural buffers against erosion and storm damage. Erosion not only affects the aesthetics of our coastlines, but also disrupts ecosystems, impacting marine life and coastal biodiversity. The impacts of rising sea levels extend beyond coastal communities. Critical infrastructure, including ports, airports, and roads, can be threatened by the encroaching sea. In addition to the physical damage, the economic consequences can be severe, disrupting trade, tourism, and industries dependent on coastal resources. Rising sea levels are not isolated issues. They have far-reaching implications for the entire planet. One major concern is the migration of climate refugees, as people from vulnerable regions seek more habitable and secure areas. The loss of coastal ecosystems, such as coral reefs and wetlands, can also have cascading effects on global biodiversity and fisheries. Tackling rising sea levels requires a comprehensive approach. We must prioritize reducing greenhouse gas emissions, transitioning to clean and renewable energy sources, and investing in climate resilience and adaptation strategies. Protecting and restoring coastal habitats, such as mangroves and dunes, can act as natural buffers against sea level rise and storm surges. Rising sea levels are an urgent global issue that demands our attention and action. Extreme weather events. Extreme weather events are intense and unusual weather occurrences that deviate significantly from average weather patterns. They can happen in various forms, such as hurricanes, droughts, floods, heat waves, and severe storms. These events are primarily driven by complex interactions between atmospheric, oceanic, and geological processes. As global temperatures rise due to human activities, such as burning fossil fuels and deforestation, climate change is amplifying the intensity and frequency of extreme weather events. Warmer air holds more moisture, leading to increased rainfall and more intense storms. Additionally, higher temperatures contribute to heat waves and prolonged droughts. Extreme weather events can have devastating impacts on human communities. Hurricanes and storms can cause widespread destruction, displacing families and damaging infrastructure. Heat waves can pose severe health risks, especially for vulnerable populations, while droughts can lead to water scarcity and agricultural challenges. Extreme weather events also take a toll on the environment. Intense wildfires, fueled by hot and dry conditions, devastate ecosystems, release carbon dioxide, and worsen air quality. Building resilience to extreme weather events is crucial. This involves adopting sustainable practices, investing in climate-resilient infrastructure, and implementing early warning systems. Governments and communities must work together to prepare for and respond to the challenges posed by extreme weather. Food and water security challenges. With the world's population projected to reach 9 billion by 2050, the demand for food and water is soaring. This exponential growth presents substantial challenges to meet the needs of everyone while safeguarding the environment. Ensuring food and water security has become a critical priority for governments, organizations, and individuals worldwide. Climate change poses a significant threat to agricultural production. Rising temperatures, changing precipitation patterns, and extreme weather events can disrupt crop yields, reduce livestock productivity, and exacerbate water scarcity. These climate-related challenges impact food production, distribution, and affordability, especially in vulnerable regions. Water scarcity is a growing concern as freshwater resources become increasingly strained. Pollution from agriculture, industry, and urban areas further degrades water quality, making it unsuitable for consumption and irrigation. Ensuring access to clean and sufficient water for both drinking and farming is vital to address food and water security challenges. Intensive agriculture and deforestation contribute to land degradation, soil erosion, and loss of biodiversity. These factors can diminish the Earth's capacity to support agricultural productivity and ecological balance. Protecting and restoring degraded lands and preserving biodiversity are essential components of sustainable food and water security. Adopting sustainable farming practices can play a significant role in addressing food and water security challenges. Practices such as agroforestry, conservation agriculture, and organic farming promote soil health, water conservation, and ecosystem resilience. These methods contribute to higher crop yields, reduced environmental impact, and increased climate resilience. To ensure water security, effective water conservation and management strategies are crucial. Rainwater harvesting, efficient irrigation techniques, and responsible water use are essential in balancing water demand and supply. Integrating these practices can alleviate water stress and support sustainable agriculture. Addressing food security also requires reducing food waste and loss throughout the supply chain. Improved post-harvest handling, better storage facilities, and consumer awareness can significantly reduce food waste and improve food availability. Food and water security challenges are multifaceted and interconnected. But by adopting sustainable practices, embracing innovation, and working together, we can overcome these challenges and build a nourished and thriving world. Shift in disease patterns. Climate change is affecting the Earth's ecosystems and weather patterns, creating favorable conditions for the spread of infectious diseases. Changes in temperature, rainfall, and humidity can influence disease vectors like mosquitoes, ticks, and rodents. Additionally, alterations in ecosystems and human activities can increase human exposure to new pathogens. One of the most notable impacts of climate change on disease patterns is the spread of vector-borne diseases. Mosquito-borne diseases like malaria, dengue fever, and Zika virus are becoming more prevalent in regions where they were previously rare. As rising temperatures expand the geographical range of disease vectors, populations that were once unaffected become vulnerable. Climate change also affects water resources, leading to changes in water quality and availability. This can influence the transmission of waterborne diseases, such as cholera and cryptosporidiosis. Contaminated water sources and flooding events can exacerbate the spread of these diseases, affecting both urban and rural communities. Climate change can cause shifts in ecosystems and alter human-wildlife interactions. These changes create opportunities for the emergence of new infectious diseases or the resurgence of previously controlled ones. Encroachment into new habitats or contact with wildlife can lead to zoonotic diseases like Ebola, Nipah virus, and COVID-19. The burden of shifting disease patterns is often borne by vulnerable communities, including low-income populations and those with limited access to healthcare. Climate change exacerbates existing health disparities, making it crucial to address the social determinants of health alongside climate action. To tackle the challenges posed by shifting disease patterns, we must take a two-pronged approach: adaptation and mitigation. Adaptation involves strengthening public health systems, improving disease surveillance, and developing early warning systems to respond to outbreaks effectively. Mitigation efforts to address climate change play a vital role in safeguarding global health. Reducing greenhouse gas emissions, transitioning to clean energy, and conserving ecosystems can limit the impact of climate change on disease patterns. Disruption of ocean currents. Ocean currents are like the invisible bloodstream of our planet, circulating warm and cold waters across the globe. They are driven by a combination of factors, including wind patterns, temperature differences, and Earth's rotation. These currents play a vital role in distributing heat and nutrients, influencing weather patterns, and supporting marine life. Climate change is causing disruption to ocean currents. As global temperatures rise, ice caps and glaciers melt, releasing fresh water into the ocean. This influx of fresh water can interfere with the density-driven circulation patterns that drive ocean currents. Disrupted ocean currents can lead to changes in weather patterns around the world. For example, the warming of the Arctic region can weaken the polar jet stream, leading to more frequent and intense weather extremes. Severe storms, heat waves, and prolonged droughts are some of the consequences of altered weather patterns. Ocean currents are vital for marine ecosystems as they transport nutrients, larvae, and oxygen, supporting biodiversity and fish populations. Disruption of these currents can lead to changes in nutrient distribution, affecting the productivity and health of marine habitats. Disrupted ocean currents can also impact carbon dioxide absorption by the ocean. When currents fail to transport CO2-rich waters to deeper layers, it can contribute to ocean acidification. Acidification threatens marine organisms like coral reefs and shell-forming creatures, disrupting entire marine food webs. The disruption of ocean currents has far-reaching implications for the entire planet. Changes in weather patterns, sea level rise, and altered marine ecosystems can affect human communities, economies, and food security. Coastal regions may face increased risks from extreme weather events and erosion, while fishing communities could experience shifts in fish stocks. Additionally, understanding and monitoring ocean currents through research and technology are essential for predicting and managing potential disruptions. Heat-related deaths. Heat waves are prolonged periods of excessively high temperatures, often accompanied by high humidity. They can be deadly, particularly for vulnerable individuals like the elderly, children, and those with pre-existing health conditions. During heat waves, the body can struggle to regulate its temperature, leading to heat-related illnesses, and even death. Urban areas can experience even more extreme heat due to the urban heat island effect. Buildings, concrete, and asphalt absorb and trap heat, making cities significantly hotter than surrounding rural areas. This effect exacerbates the risks of heat-related illnesses for urban residents. Certain populations are more vulnerable to heat-related deaths. The elderly, especially those living alone or lacking access to air conditioning, are at high risk. Children and infants are also susceptible, as their bodies are less efficient at regulating temperature. Extreme heat can lead to a range of health issues, including heat exhaustion, heat stroke, and exacerbation of chronic conditions like cardiovascular diseases and respiratory illnesses. Prolonged exposure to extreme heat can be life-threatening, especially when combined with dehydration and lack of access to cooling measures. Climate change is driving the increase in extreme heat events. As greenhouse gas emissions continue to rise, so do global temperatures. Without swift action, heat waves will become more frequent and severe, putting even more lives at risk. To address heat-related deaths, we must prioritize adaptation and mitigation strategies. Cities can implement urban planning measures to reduce the urban heat island effect, such as green spaces and reflective surfaces. Addressing climate change through ambitious climate action is essential to prevent the worst impacts of heat waves. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends and family. The more people we can reach, the greater the impact we can make together. If you haven't already, click that subscribe button so you won't miss our future videos. Until next time, take care, stay environmentally conscious, and let's work together for a better and brighter future. Goodbye.